All right, awesome. Excellent. My name is Ming. I'm the head of food and beverage at Square. I oversee all of Square's product roadmap for supporting restaurants, operators with technology, whether it's point of sale, payments, online ordering, kiosks, kitchen workflows, you name it, the entire ecosystem falls under my responsibility. I'm also a restaurant operator. I'm a general partner of a restaurant group based out of the Boston area. About 8 concepts, mostly full service, 8 different concepts. About 14 years ago, I've been in the business and really excited to speak with you all. I've been fortunate enough to work with some really great partners, great chef partner, James Beard nominated partner, and really truly understand the challenges of being in this business as well as developing technology for it. So look, we're going to talk a little bit about growth and profit. Let's see here. From table to tech. It's definitely going to talk a lot about technology. So if you're excited to talk about that, we're going to get into it right now. I think one of the most important things to think about is that we're a little bit of in a new era in the food service business. Does anybody have any idea what happened maybe 3-4 years ago that happened in our industry? Yeah, I've seen some head nods. COVID, right? Well, look, that really put a lot of pressure on the entire industry, really changing the way we do things, the way we talk to our guests, the way we interact with our guests, the way we work with our employees, really kind of turned things upside down. For better, for worse, a lot of those things are not going to change. They're going to stay with us for a long time. And we have to really cope with that and really understand how to make the most out of our guest experiences. Sorry, a little closer. All right, there we go. Thank you. All right. Someone said you're not loud enough. Okay, appreciate it. And so really, what is it that's helping operators create great guest experiences, manage their team well, appropriately, efficiently? And technology really sits at the heart of it. And those that are really deploying that technology versus those that are not, we're going to see more growth and more ability to put profit on the bottom line. Now, let's think about one of the consumer trends that ultimately have changed going into 2024. This is a survey that we do annually. We're actually going to run it pretty soon going into 2025. And what it says about consumers is about their spending, right? They were pretty excited. Things were going pretty well going into 2023. Definitely some hesitation around spending with respect to inflation. And in 24, really, I think a lot of us may have seen this. If you haven't, if that's awesome for your business, about the impact of consumer spending pullback. People saying, hey, I'm going to do one less delivery this week. I'm going to do less dining out. Maybe I'm not going to celebrate as much anymore. And that's just the macro effect of the industry on top of the business. It really forces all of us operators and in the ecosystem to decide how are we going to drive people to the restaurant? How are we going to drive orders out of the restaurant? And ways to do that are outside of the four walls of the dining room. Well, in that, guests, consumer experiences need to change. They ultimately have higher expectations now when it comes to personalization, convenience, or efficiency. People want their food now, yesterday, in 2 seconds, immediately, cheap, right? I see some head nods here. That's just the way it works today. I just came from actually another conference where they were surveying students in hospitality at USC. And they said, what are the top brands that you want to buy from in the restaurant space? Out of 35 students, 2 brands made it to the top of the list, Chipotle and Cava. And the reason, well, besides the flavor profile, et cetera, what I thought was really interesting about it was the underlying statement was, I get it my way, the way I want it, right? And so we think about that's the expectation of the consumer today. And that's all great in hospitality, but how does technology, how does your business ultimately drive that high personalized experience for that type of guest today? And that could be through mobile ordering. You know, I have my favorite thing, I get it, takes 2 buttons to click it. Loyalty programs really make me feel special as a VIP of your restaurant. And then obviously pay fast, get out there quick. Maybe it's kiosks, maybe it's just ways to like get the food and go because I'm busy, I've got 2 jobs, right? That's a lot of what the consumer is thinking about today. Let's also talk a little bit about using data in order to meet your customers and where they are. So one of the things that we saw actually in a shift from 2019 way back all the way through 2023 was that people used to dine, or like a big day part was Friday, Friday at lunch. And then it kind of shifted to Saturday. And like, if you could see that in your data, you can see that in other ways, you can really understand, hey, that's a really important day part for me to pay attention to. One that I need to be able to maximize the opportunity and not miss out on, because that's the shift of where consumers are going. Now, that might be, of course, remote work. That business boozy lunch on Friday really isn't a thing anymore. But people are going hard on Saturday mornings. Yeah, I mean, I have kids, so I could see that. Okay, and then let's talk about a little bit about flavor profile change. I didn't mention it earlier, but the Caesar salad is a really interesting item. It's 100 years old, and a lot of people are thinking, hey, I need to change up my menu. I need to be relevant, to draw in more people. But it turns out that the Caesar salad has a lot of staying power. 75% of operators say they're going to keep it on their menu. I have a Caesar salad on my menu. I'm never taking it off. It's a number one seller. It's a great thing. And so really the point I'm trying to make here is that you might be thinking, hey, I got to do things differently because things are different now. But the data actually will show you that you have success. And it's really important to read that information and say, hey, I don't have to make drastic changes just to bring in that next person, next button to seat. 85% operators keeping mocktails on the menu. So if you thought mocktails were a fad, they're definitely not. They're kind of here to stay. We're seeing that in the consumer preference. And then a couple other different additions that are being added to the menu. On the flavor side, because we're in Nashville, I got to talk about Nashville Hot. It is definitely outside of Nashville, represented in LA, Seattle, New York City. Well, they've copied it and they've taken it to all those places, and some of the brands as well. And then turmeric ginger, another hot flavor. So really understanding, like, what is the information that I get my hands on, data, whether it's through Square, through your performance food service. What are the things that really people are popular and interested in eating and trying, and incorporating that into your business. Now, let's talk a little bit about how technology is going to make a difference in your business operation efficiency. We talked a little bit about consumer preferences and matching that. But now, let's think about the operator perspective. A lot of you want to figure out how to grow. How do I grow, and how do I ultimately put more money on the bottom line? In some ways, you actually have to grow. This is my personal opinion. If you don't grow, then you're not going to succeed, because we have rising costs, we have rising rent, we have rising labor costs. And ultimately, the larger your business is, the larger scale it is, the more that you'll be able to drive efficiency to the bottom line. Now, look, a lot of operators are pretty optimistic about this year. We'll see how they feel about going into 2025, but they're going to grow. They're going to open that next new location. They want to add a catering menu. That's a big one I keep hearing. If you're not doing catering, figure out how to do catering right away. And then maybe potentially new opportunities like private dining and expansion of the businesses themselves. Now, in order to expand, it can be daunting. There's a lot of ways to do it. And today, really think about these 4 tool areas that you would want to do that in. And it's digital ordering. I'll go through these in a little bit. Workforce automation, integrated point-of-sale systems like Square, and then real-time data analytics. Now, digital ordering, I think we all know what it is. It's pretty simple. But really, I think the main point here is that there's third party, there's first party. There's benefits to both, there are costs to both, there are advantages and disadvantages to both. But digital ordering is a thing that people really care about. I have a slide later, I'll spoil it right now, but 3 out of 4 consumers in surveys will say that they would rather do things online or in a kiosk than talk to a person. Now, that says a lot maybe about our culture, where it is today, but that's how they want to order, that's how they want to get their food, that's how they want to get their drinks, and then so we have to ultimately meet the customers where they are. I'm a little hot up here. Okay. All right. Workforce automation. This one is interesting. When we think about staffing, and you think about prime costs, right? Prime costs, your labor plus your COGS. These are your two biggest buckets. Nowadays, I hear people trying to do 24-24 in the quick service space. Can you do 24% food costs? Can you do 24% labor costs? That's pretty challenging, I think. But that's sort of the new gold standard if you can hit that number on prime costs. Best way to do that in the workforce automation is thinking about scheduling, budgeting, making sure you understand when business goes up, what do you do? And when business slows down, what do I need to do in order to make changes? Really have that fully built out. And technology can help you with that. They can say, hey, you don't need this person today, given where things are going. Or next week, you have an event, you're going to do double. This is what you need. Workforce automation will help you keep that big bucket of staff costs under control. Integrated point of sale systems. Yeah, look, the bread and butter, there's usually one kitchen in your restaurant, maybe multiple stations, but you're getting orders from multiple different places. All those pieces have to work together. Think about your tech stack. You'll probably hear that phrase more often these days. Point of sale, payment, inventory, labor management, and so on and so on and so on. All those pieces may be great, but if they don't work together, they actually make your job harder. So it's really important that you pick some principles on what it is that you want to make an experience that you want to deliver on this year. Say, I want to make online ordering great. Well, focus on that. Focus on that one thing and then build around it and make sure it all works together. Otherwise, you'll find yourself saying, hey, I tried that thing and it didn't work. And it may not have actually been the technology itself, but it just didn't fit into your business the right way. And then real-time data analytics. I think it speaks for itself. Understanding the data of what you're selling, how guests are behaving, how guests are receiving that. Anybody that comes in my restaurant, walks out 5 minutes later, granted if I have their email address or their phone number, they get something in their phone that says, how was it? That helps me understand very quickly, do I need to fix a problem? Do I have a staffing problem? Do I have a food problem? Do I have an ambiance problem? Right? And people are pretty, they like their phones, right? They'll type anything into that, but they may not tell you of a problem. So this is a way that technology ultimately is going to help you get that feedback faster and in a way that you can take action immediately, rather than waiting 2 weeks later and then realizing that, hey, look, we've been making the sauce too spicy. That's why no one's buying that dish, or other reasons. Okay. All right. Actually, I should have been on that slide. All right. It's hard to read. We'll send out the documents anyway, but let's talk a little bit about sales metrics. A little bit more advanced in understanding how's my business doing. Sales per labor hour, sales per square foot. Those with multi-units probably understand this one better. Guest engagement scores, we just touched on that. I think what's important here is understand if you have multiple stores or simply you have multiple teams, how do I measure their performance in a normalized way? It's hard to compare like a Tuesday team to a Friday team, right? So you have to really understand, how do I measure them in a way that I can understand their performance? I don't want to say I want to give Tuesday team a buy, because, it's just not that busy that day. They actually need to hit goals and performance as well. What's important to hear about this one is that having goals every single day for all parts of your business really will drive performance and profitability. It's to say, hey, I need to hit this number, and then ultimately, how do I get there? And okay, I've been standing up here, you're like, hey, this guy's been talking for 10 minutes now, 15 minutes now. This is exactly the problem that I had in my restaurant when I started it 14 years ago. Really big fanfare. Like I said, James Beard nominated in Boston. We were making 3%, bottom line. Got a lot of awards, but those don't pay rent, right? And so really what we started to understand is, okay, what's going on here? Food costs jumping up 35%, 36%, labor, et cetera, bouncing all over the place. Now, granted, this is in the day of point of sale, not cloud-based, no reporting. Things have changed since then. But installing tools and better understanding of like, hey, how did this week go? That was a big difference from the early days of getting my accountant to send me a P&L once a month. And it's like I get 12 data points to run the business is not good enough. None of us are going to survive in the restaurant industry with just 12 data points a year. You really have to understand, how did today go? Did we make money today? How did this week go? Did we make money today? And then we ultimately put in the right things around guest engagement, profitability, purchasing tools on budget, and got that up to 12%. Really proud of that. Definitely challenging COVID to keep that number up, but going from 3 to 12 was a really big deal. And it didn't happen by just a magic flip the switch. We reinvested back into the business, added more day parts, as in like more private dining, event, catering, really found out like where are we going to drive the value and ultimately make it all work. Okay, a little bit more here. Switch hands here. We're going to talk a little bit about AI, since it's a technology company. We talk about it a lot. You hear about it a lot. But we might want to do some myth busting a little bit associated with it. If you feel like, actually, let me show of hands. Who's using AI in their restaurant? Okay, we got a couple. I know Alex does. It was one of my customers. Joy is out of St. Louis, and we've had this conversation before, so I'm gonna share it with the group. AI, can kind of do a lot of different things. And yes, the title of the slide is about personalized experiences, but I want to talk about the operators for a second around how can you use it to run your business more efficiently. And I think one of the best ways someone told me is like anything that's in emails, PDFs, AI is going to change that dramatically for you. We've had countless amounts of paper in our industry, and sometimes you just want somebody or something to tell you, like, this is the 2 important things that you need to know about this piece of paper that's 20 pages long that you don't have any time to read because someone called out, on the grill station. So really interesting about AI. Alex said that they were looking at costs in their business, put some things into ChatGPT, and it spat out that, hey, look, it looks like your insurance is too expensive. You should look into that. And they did, right? Am I making it up? Right. And so I think what's important to know is that AI is this thing that can help small things but add up very quickly. And think of it as discovery, right? It's like another person that allows you to say, hey, can you get another set of eyes on this? But that person kind of basically knows everything that's ever been printed in the entire world. That's a pretty good resource to have. It's not going to change your business in the sense that it's going to tell you this is exactly what you need to do, but it's going to help you make those decisions that are your job faster. I don't have all the time in the day in order to write a new marketing campaign about the new recipe for the new sandwich that we have. You can actually ask ChatGPT to do that. Give me a campaign every day for the next 30 days about this new product that I have, and it'll write it up for you. Now, it may not be in your language, it may not be in the style of the way you want to run your business, but it's a start. And a lot of those things, as I know from some of my customers, they just don't have time to do that. People are busy doing other things. So if you have something that can help you get ahead and knock out some of those tasks that usually just you don't get to, you can do that with AI. All right, personalized experiences. Some more data here. Look, the customers out there are actually pretty well responding to this technology. They seem to be okay with it. If you ask consumers, 2 out of 3 will say they want restaurants to use AI, whether it's making a reservation, providing recommendations, looking for things. I mean, I think that's pretty much like the consumers have been trained that their mobile phone can do anything. And so if it allows them to get their thing faster or allows them to find a preference, like I like this, go find me that, then the consumers are going to be all into that. And so that's something that all of us have to lean into as operators. And then the last point here was about the 3 out of 4 consumers don't want to talk to you. They just want to get their food and walk out the door. I always get a kick out of that. It's true. I have kiosks in my restaurant, quick service restaurants, Mediterranean, and we have an amazing barista staff, etc. But people walk over to the kiosk, punch in their order, sit down, and then wait for it to come up, and they walk out the door. That's just how things are a little behaving sometimes. And without that kiosks, then they wouldn't, those individuals, well, we still greet them, by the way, because hospitality is still number one in the business. But I've got individuals that really care. They would never touch a kiosk. They're going to get in that line. They're going to talk to Alexa, who's our cashier, and she's going to know their name. She's going to introduce herself. And so if we can create those great experiences for that type of guest, and a great experience that's digital, don't talk to anybody, for a different type of guest, then that's a win for my business, and then hopefully for yours. All right, thank you very much. All right, we're going to take some questions. How much time do we have here? I'm missing a clock. All right. And we're in booth 270. If you want to come by Square and see some of the latest technology with our terminals, handhelds, and kiosks, and see how they can be improved and make a difference for your business. No questions for the crowd? Oh, here we go.
Would you use AI for phone ordering taking, or just directing people to order online more to take off of staff?
The question, everybody heard that. For me, yes. I haven't done it yet because I don't get that type of traffic through for some of my restaurants. I already have auto attendant, right? We don't pick up the phone. Immediately it picks up, says, "Welcome to Cambridge Street Hospitality Group. Do you want to order? Go to the website. Do you want to do this?" So in some ways we have automation. We don't have AI, as in like sounds like you're talking to a real person, but you're not really talking to a real person. We haven't deployed that type of technology yet, but I definitely have seen it, and it's getting better. I've been impressed with some of the startups in the space that are saying, "Hey, here's an attendant, female, male, southern accent, northern, whatever." They don't have the Boston accent. It's pretty hard to do that one. But anyway, the point I think is, why not? There's no reason why you shouldn't do that or try it out. If people hate it, we'll find out why. If people would love it, just keep using it. Oh, no, no. Our phone service, we use a company called Uma. It's a cloud-based VoIP service. Yeah. And they do have some of those capabilities. Okay, great question. Thank you. Anybody else? You can come up and talk with me one-on-one. I'll be in the booth for the next hour, an hour and a half. Please enjoy the show. Thank you very much, Performance Food Service, for having me. Thank you.